How's it going, everybody? I'm your host, Chuy Filosa, and we're here on another episode of the Barbers Barber. Today we have my boy Dillan with us. Dillan, man, thank you for coming to the podcast, man. I'm glad I finally had saved some time for you, and make the time to have a little chat and talk about how you've been, man. But before we get started, bro, let them know who you are.
My name is Dillan. I'm a barber. I've been cutting hair for about 2 years now. I went to Ivy League. I actually finished going to Ivy League last year. And yeah, I mean, I guess going to Ivy League, like it was no question about it. Like that was the school I was gonna go to. I was looking into the schools before I got into that one, and I kind of already knew some people going to Ivy League, so I felt like it was just the right fit for me. I mean, it was closest to me, and I mean, I'm glad that's the one I picked too because I made a lot of friends and I made a lot of memories, and also learned a lot, not just cutting hair but business-wise too.
That's cool, Dylan. So, where are you cutting at right now?
I'm cutting out a shop here in Vista off of East Vista Way, Hitter's Choice Barber Shop.
Shout out to Hitter's Choice.
Yeah, I found out about that shop actually through one of the barbers there. He used to cut my hair when I was younger, like when I was in middle school. And I remember when I was about to finish up barber school, I was trying to get into a shop, and I was kind of looking around, and then I remember he actually, the barber that works here with me, he hit me up that day and asked me how I was doing at school, and I thought that was like the perfect opportunity to put myself in that shop, you know? It was just kind of funny how that worked out because, like I said, I was looking for a shop and I hadn't spoken to him in a while, and just out of the blue he hit me up and we got to talking, and then he introduced me to the shop owner, Fernando, and ever since then, I mean, those guys have held it down for me. They've been really cool. It's like a family there, you know? Like you pull up every day to work and great environment, great energy, and you learn a lot from everybody. Since I'm the youngest of the shop, like I learn from everybody, you know? Like the shop owner, he's the oldest there, and then we got guys in their like mid-20s. So like, I don't know. I feel like I learned a lot more there than I did in school, but I think that's just because in school I wasn't really paying attention, you know?
It's a mixture of being young and going through the experiences, right?
Yeah.
I know that you're talking a lot about like starting young. You're saying the person was cutting your hair when you were in middle school. Like, talk about a little bit how you started school. You were like, what, 18, 19 years old when you started school?
So it was right before I turned 18 when I went with my dad to check out the school, and I was still in high school. And by then I had already made up my mind, like, okay, like I want to go here, like I said, there's nowhere else I can really see myself being at. So I told my dad, like, as soon as I turn 18, as soon as I graduate, like, I want to get started with this as soon as possible. I know most people take time off, like when they graduate to, to go to school or to go work or to go do other things. But I was, like I said, I already had my mindset that I wanted to do this barbering stuff. So I enrolled at Ivy League when I was 18. And I think like a couple months after I graduated high school is when I got started there.
And how hard was that conversation? Because I know I've been through a couple situations myself. People say, "Oh, that's not a good career. You're just wasting your time doing this type of job." Like, how hard was that conversation with your parents, or did you have supportive parents where they were like, "Oh, it's going to be good for you," or how? Tell me a little bit of how that went.
So as far as with my parents, when I first told them that I wanted to be a barber, like I think they kind of heard that and they were like maybe it's just like something he wants to do as a hobby, like on the side.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then at the time I was still working like a part-time job, so and I really didn't like show any interest in going to like college or going to school after that. So they just like in their heads like, oh, maybe he's not even gonna take it seriously. But I remember at the time also like I just kind of like thought about where I was at in my life and where I was about to like go into, like after high school.
Yeah.
And it was one of those things where like I knew I wasn't gonna go to college, and I definitely didn't want to be stuck working a job that made me miserable every day. So I knew if I was gonna get into the barbering thing, I'd have to be like kind of all in with it, like be fully invested. So right before I started barber school, I saved up a couple of paychecks from my old job and I bought barbering equipment like on my own.
Oh wow! So you started before even school. You just grabbed your own equipment and started cutting hair.
Yeah, and then I think when I did that and I came home with everything and I showed my parents again, I'm serious about this. Like, you know, this isn't just gonna be a phase, or like I put the clippers down like in a couple months and I never touch them again. Like,
Yeah.
and I think from there on, like they supported me all the way. They're like, okay, this is what you want to do, then you have our support, you know, like. And I love them for that too, because I know for a lot of people that's not something they can just go out and do. Like,
Yeah. No, from personal experience, I could tell you, when I decided that I wanted to do hair, I think one of the reasons I didn't was, my mom was telling me, what, pick another career, pick something else, pick something different. And it kind of sucked, because for the longest, it kind of stumped my growth on that. Like I chose to kind of listen to like a parent and be like, okay, they know what's best for me. And, I ended up, kind of missing out of that time. But again, it was just building an experience time for that as well. And at the time I had I had a son already, so it was a lot more difficult to kind of try to go into school. So what do you think I mean, you being one of the younger students, what was one of the hardest things? I heard you mention a little bit about, paying attention in school. But what do you think was one of the hardest things that you went through while being at Ivy League?
I think just going right in after high school, you know, like I said before, most people take time off to go, you know, do whatever they want to do. I didn't take time off. And while I was in barber school, I noticed all my friends from high school, they were, you know, doing what they wanted to do. Like, as far as like, you know, they were going out, you know, just enjoying kind of like that freedom of like being out of high school, you know?
Yeah.
I felt like I didn't really get to enjoy that at all, just because I put myself straight into like what I wanted to do. And it made it hard to focus sometimes, because you know, I would sometimes question like, you know, damn, like I know I wanted to do this, but I didn't like, is this really gonna work out? I feel like I'm having second thoughts.
Yeah, and that happens a lot to barbers nowadays. I'd say while in school, it happens a lot. From personal experience, I dropped out twice from cosmetology school, but I ended up finishing. It happens a lot once you're already licensed and you're already, working in a shop. People tell you the stories of like, oh yeah, you're gonna make X amount of money right out the gate, but you really don't. If you don't put X amount of work, you won't make what the expected salary is. And barbers are very, I feel like they're very, they find that number that they once made, and that's their standard.
Yeah.
So think about it. Like if you're a barber and you're like, oh, one day I made $300. If anybody asks you how much do you make, you're always gonna say it's $300, or something close to that. But in reality, you're not making $300 every day. You might be making $300, on the busier days, but on the slower days, you're making a little less.
Yeah.
And then what sucks with us is that our mindset now starts thinking we're going to spend as much as we made on our most expensive day, on our busiest day. We're going out to eat every day. And it's one of those little things that I feel sometimes we don't really talk about too, because it's an uncomfortable conversation. And you mentioned a lot about business at Ivy League. What do you think are some of the things that you learned from Ivy League that are now help you out in your business, like in your day-to-day business at the barbershop?
I think just how to manage your money. Like, that stuff's not taught like really anywhere. Like, it's kind of something you have to learn like by experience. You know, you have to be bad with your money at first before you can, you know, learn how to properly spend it or save it and put it into the right places. And I think the thing with Ivy League, it showed me like how to just, you know, pay attention to where everything's going. Because I mean, it's like you said, as barbers, like I think you said this before too. Like, the money comes fast, but it leaves even faster.
Yes, sir.
So I think what a lot of people like don't really understand when it comes to barbers is like they can make good money, but like a lot of barbers aren't really, you know, taking care of themselves financially. You know, people just see what they put out. Like, you know, you see on their social media that it looks like they're balling, but really, like, you know, they could be struggling
Yep.
financially. And I think with Ivy League, just talking to people and picking their brains. Like, one of the cool things about Ivy League, it had people from like all different types of ages and backgrounds. You know, so you have someone older who, you know, already went through that phase when they were young and out of high school, and they're telling you how to like put your money aside and what to put your money into, you know, so you don't make the same mistakes they did. And then you have people like, you know, that are closer to my age who are they're also trying to figure it out, but since you're with them in that school, you guys are trying to figure it out together, you know?
Yeah. It's kind of cool. Like it kind of builds like some type of brotherhood, right?
Yeah.
So and I feel like it's really interesting you say that because a lot of our students talk about the culture, how it doesn't matter what age you are really. Once you're in Ivy League, you're kind of like a different breed. You
Hmm.
guys help each other, not necessarily not only just with barbering, but with personal things. I've seen a lot of now you see a lot of students going to each other's baby showers. You see, I think we've thrown a baby shower at the school before. There's different, celebrations that happen, important days in people's lives, and you guys are all there for each other. It's kind of cool to see the culture of that, and that now it's funny to see, and it's nice to see that now transfers onto your barbershop, and that was something you looked for when you were looking for a barbershop. Some place that would make you feel the same way. How important do you think that is? Like to get along and find a shop to vibe with. That do you think that's more important than a busy shop or do you sacrifice a busy shop for working in an uncomfortable environment?
I think it's more important to find a shop where you can, you feel like it's a good environment. You can get along with everybody. Because, I mean, yeah, like it's nice to be in a busy shop and get the money coming in. But at the end of the day, if you're showing up every day and you hate everyone in that shop, or even if it's just one person that you don't get along with, like that's gonna mess with your head. And once it starts messing with you, that's when it starts messing with your money. Like one of the biggest things that I noticed when I started working in a shop was that if you start to look at one barber or all the barbers in that shop and you feel anything negative towards them, like that's all you're gonna think about. Like you're gonna show up every day like, oh man, this guy's here. And
That's the
like,
mindset, right?
yeah, and that's the type of mindset that kind of stops your progress and it makes you lose like sight of what you're really there to do. And I think a lot of barbers don't understand that. Like, you know, one of the things that like wasn't taught to me that kind of had to find out like in a hard way was that a lot of barbers don't like to like support each other. Like they like to bring each other down and like, oh, I'm better than this guy or I make more money than this guy. And that never really made sense to me because I mean we're all in the same profession. Like we all pretty much do the same thing. So it's like, well, how are you gonna hate on the person next to you if he does the same thing as you do?
Yeah.
And as translating in like that to like the barbershop environment, like coming from Ivy League, you're like, yeah, like I said, you're around people that are like way older than you, that are younger than you, so like you learn everything from everyone. And it also teaches you how to respect people too. Like you kind of you're more aware of what people got going on. Like, yeah, like if you're working with someone that's twice your age, being a young person, you might not feel like you can connect with them, like eye to eye as far as interests and and morals. But like you got to understand, like they're at a completely different point in their life than you are.
Yeah.
They got problems that they're dealing with that you like you're not even there yet. Like you wouldn't even know how to handle those problems if you were there.
Somebody once told me use older people or experienced people as a vision for the future. So what that means was like hang out and use people who've been through the stuff that you've already been through because they're going to help you get to the next level without making as many mistakes as you normally would if you were just trying to figure it out on your own. So it's cool that you mentioned that how somebody older or somebody more experienced could give you something and it's all your mindset. It's all in your mindset. You could hate on them and figure out a way to not like them because you guys have too many differences or age gap, or you could use them as somebody with experience that could guide you and could mentor you to get you to the next level. And it's all mindset. I myself have a mentor, and this morning we were talking about how important communication is. Without communication, we're not really going to get very far. And it's important to communicate with our clients, with people that are around us, and use the people around us to kind of get to the next level. If you're not, if the people around you can't allow you to grow, then why are you around those people? There's so many more people around that would allow you and will help you grow. So it's really important to and you made a really important point on that because it's just like the mindset, man, the mindset of things.
You become a
So
you,
what's next for you, man? What you've been 1 year in the shop, right?
yeah.
So what do you see for yourself in the future?
I mean, in the future, there's a lot, but I take everything in steps, because I feel like that's the best way to go about going, like setting up a plan. Because if you try to do everything all at once, you're gonna crash out. So I think the next step for me is, try to find like another like source of income, like another revenue, something that else that I can do, but that also ties in with what I do now as far as like barbering or like what is it like just working with people, because I like being around people like, and it's funny too because when I was in high school I didn't like, I would feel uncomfortable like in large groups or just talking to new people. But I feel like it's because a lot of those situations that I was in, I was forced, to be with those people. So,
Yeah, you didn't choose. It wasn't something of interest.
yeah. So I think now, like having like the freedom to like have someone sit in my chair and we just talk about whatever, like to me, that's huge. And I feel like that's why I get along with anyone so easily, because I'm not, when you sit in my chair, I'm not gonna judge you, and a lot of times like I'm able to discuss my plans with my clients. So I think one of the biggest things that I'm looking forward to in this year that I'm gonna start doing, a buddy of mine, he kind of brought that idea to me. He told me to get into doing the SMP, the work,
Yeah,
and at first I didn't know what it was, so I kind of like looked into it, and when I looked into it, I thought it was just like people go like to like these professionals or whatever who are certified to do it, like they're just getting like, they're pretty much just getting dots tattooed
yeah.
in like on their head. But the more like I looked into it, the more I realized, okay, I can build like a whole separate business around this,
Of course, yeah.
and then my goal with it is just again make it like a second income, have more money coming in to support like what I'm doing in the
Definitely.
barber shop.
Do you feel like you've got enough, or did Ivy League help you enough to kind of feel? Because I've had a lot of students that talk to me about this. That they didn't know if they wanted to hop into a business because they were scared of starting the business. Do you feel? Because I know we talked about a business. Do you feel like Ivy League helped you out in coaching you? Like, yo, it's not as hard as you guys think. It's step 1 through 5 to get you into a business. Is that something you kind of learned there, or something you've been learning on your own?
Absolutely. I think the biggest thing that I learned there as far as like getting into a business was like just do it honestly. Like I learned that from Corey, man. Shout out Corey, because he told me like, when I asked him like how do you get into a business that's not barber related, like what should I invest in?
Yeah.
And he's all like, the two biggest things I took away from what he told me was invest in yourself, and no matter what you get into, just do it anyways. Like you're gonna lose out at first, but if you stick with it and you put in the work, it's gonna get it to where you want it to be. And I think with most people, not just barbers, with anyone, when they want to get into a business, they're afraid of losing, missing out, losing money, losing time. But I think that's what's needed if you want to get a business going and if you want it to be successful. So
And I think that's a trait and a quality that a business owner has to have as well, right?
yeah.
Like you can't want to be a business owner and not be willing to take risks. You can't be a business owner and not be willing to take fault. Be a business owner and not be willing to take the extra step. So it's important and it's cool. Hey, shout out Corey, man. Thank you, Corey, for putting all these business courses for us together at Ivy League. So one of the other things that I will emphasize a little bit on that is that Ivy League we do emphasize in the business aspects of things, and we do have experts in business that help us put together these courses. So again, shout out Corey. Look at that, it's working, Corey. It's working.
That's funny because when I was there, Corey wasn't doing any of the business courses, but he would talk to me and another student about it, and we always told him like, yeah, that would be good because especially like for me and that other student, we were like the two of the younger ones, so we would always tell him like, dude, we don't learn this in high school. We definitely can't learn this from our parents because they don't know, like if there was to be someone at that school who could teach that stuff and that'd be willing to like help everyone understand it, and that would be big.
Yeah. So now Ivy League, I don't know, were you there when we were doing Money Mondays?
No.
Okay, so now we do Money Mondays. So we have Corey has set up business courses for us for every Monday. So now all our educators teach what this is: taxes, real estate. They talk about business, how to open a shop, licensing, permits, write-offs. We talk about everything. So I mean, I'm glad that you guys voiced some of these things, and you guys are more than welcome to come in at the school anytime and just kind of sit in one of our classes for our Money Mondays. New locations coming soon, so we already got San Marcos and Escondido. We're working on Poway. Poway should be done pretty soon. Actually, we'll probably check update you guys on that. If you guys don't follow us at the Ivy League Barber Academy on Instagram, you guys we'll see a lot of updates on that. We just did an update on Lake Elsinore, and I'll be there tomorrow. I'll be there doing a haircut. Me and Wiley are going to be doing a little one of these, probably pretty much another little podcast on the updates of the school. But I told Wiley I wanted to cut his hair, so you guys will see me there tomorrow. These podcasts release a little late, so you might see the video later. Damn, Dylan, well, dude, it's super dope hearing about all the progress you've done and what you've done with yourself, dude. And we've always knew you always had a great mentor, your cousin across the chair from me, you know. And maybe you could talk to us a little bit about that. How does that work? Like knowing that you have like, you know, like I remember seeing you come into the shop younger and having that. How did that work out? Was it something easy for you to just reach out, or was it something that you hesitated a lot before doing?
I definitely hesitated a lot because, I mean, with anything, I like, when it comes to learning something new, I want to learn it on my own. But I'm also not afraid to admit when I need help, and I kind of need to go seek the help of someone who's,
An
like
expert.
an expert, yeah. And then I remember I had a conversation with my mom when I was getting into barbering too. She's like, go see your cousin, like she's like, me and your dad can't really help you, but he could probably help you more than anybody else. And when I hit him up and I told him that I wanted to become a barber, I was surprised how quickly he's like, hell yeah, like let's do it, like I'll help you out. And I mean, ever since then, like even to this day, like everything that he's taught me, like it sticks with me, like when I'm having those moments where like, I'm having a rough day at the shop or I'm just having a long day, like I remember what he told me. I think the biggest thing I took away from him was just being consistent, like the more consistent you are, like the easier you're gonna get to where you want to be. And being consistent doesn't mean that you're 100% every day. Like some days you're gonna be like at 50%. Some days you're gonna, be feeling a little more energy. But that's like the biggest thing I took away from him. Just seeing the way he works. Like he's really busy and he was always got a lot of clients in the chair. But like you look at him, you look at his work ethic and his attitude. That doesn't change. And I think that's what a lot of people respect about him. To me, that's the biggest thing I respect the most is,
A lot of times we don't realize that we're selling a product, right? Mm-hmm. And when you're selling a product, the biggest thing is that the customer already knows what they're coming to get. And you're right. The consistency is important. If they're coming in here asking for something, they're getting something different every time they come in, and they're not going to want to come back to you in your chair. But that's important, bro. That's really good. And I'm happy that you're humble enough because it's hard. We're in one of these industries where it's very egotistical. Everybody's better than everybody. Everybody knows more than everybody. Mm-hmm. So it's really hard to see people humble themselves and ask for that help. That's cool to see from somebody as young as yourself, getting that help. And you're gonna go very far because this is just you at, your early 20s. Imagine you and in your 30s, dude. It's just it just goes up from here.
Yeah, I mean, like going back to the thing with my cousin, just like again seeing like what he does for himself with his work, and it's like that really like motivated me and inspired me to to find like my purpose with everything. Like he would tell me that I was like I was gonna do it better than him, and like even now when I think about that, like it doesn't feel that way because I mean like he's doing it like in my eyes, like he's doing it really good right now, so it's like I don't see how I can do better than that. But at the same time, I use that as a motivation, to push myself to be where I need to be, and I appreciate him for that.
And that's cool, man. That's really important, and it's nice to have that because it's really hard. I know that a lot of the generation and where a lot of us, your cousin and I came from. I mean, I know your cousins from a really, really long time. It was hard to find those barbers that wanted to help you out. It was hard to find that help. It was hard to get into somewhere where they were like, "Oh yeah, come here, come check it out, come sit down and watch what I'm doing." It was not. It was taboo. It was not. Go to school, get your diploma, and then you come sit with us. It was something where it was gatekept for a long, long time, and now it's due to social media, due to the evolvement of the industry, everybody gets to kind of get a firsthand a view or a firsthand on what we're doing now. So it's cool to see that, man. And dude, it was definitely a pleasure having you here for the podcast. And again, for again being able to chop you up a little bit. I know I threw a little sauce on you, try to make you look, get these the lineup look nice and sharp. But again, Dylan, where could they find you if they're in Vista, if and they're trying to get a haircut, or they're trying to get a little advice? I know there's a lot of younger cats in here starting school, starting a barber school. Some of them are still in high school. What's some advice you give to them, and where can they find you?
Just, if you're gonna get into it, especially like if you're still in high school, I think this is like a problem, but it could also be like something that could be used as a good thing. But stop looking at social media and stop looking at what other barbers are doing. As much as you want to be, as fly or cut good hair like the other barbers do, you'll never be that barber. Just figure out what works for you and do that. Well, like don't try to force something on yourself just because you see it working for somebody else. And I feel like if you do that, then you'll really like be the happiest with what you're doing. You won't have any regret. You won't feel like you made the wrong choice with your career. Like I feel like if you stick with that, you'll be all good.
Damn, that's pretty deep, man. It's just be happy with what you got, and keep that goal, and don't compare yourself. I think that's really important. Do not compare yourself. Everybody in this industry is at different levels, and again, the comparison is only based on what your clientele likes. Because you could compare yourself to the sauciest barber in town, but if your client just likes the two on the sides with like with a little square on the neck, and they're happy with them. At the end of the day, they're the ones paying for that haircut, right? Cool. So last but not least, where can they find you?
You guys can find me off East Vista Way at Hitter's Choice Barbershop. It's right there in the same shopping center as the Chin's, the Chinese restaurant. I'm there pretty much every day, so like if you guys ever want to come through and you need someone to talk to, need some advice, I'm always there. Or even just talking to any of the barbers there. They're like I said, all the guys there, they're not afraid to, to teach, or to share knowledge with everybody. So yeah, shout out Hitter's Choice.
That's right. All right. So social media, where you got? What they got? Where can they find you at?
I'm right now mainly on Instagram. You can follow me at Dillan.salas _, all lowercase. You know, I'm not as active as I would like to be on there, but like if you do shoot me a DM, I will definitely respond. Like I know now a lot of people are kind of like they're not used to face-to-face interactions, so they feel like messaging someone would be easier, and I'm all for that. So if you feel like that's the easiest way to reach out, then go ahead.
So, all right, you guys heard it. Thank you guys again. We are done with Dylan today. We were able to give him a nice little taper lineup. And again, thank you, Dylan, for joining us in this episode of the Barber's Barber. We'll see you guys on the next one. Later.